Who was it, do you remember, who convinced you to take Paul Manafort on as your campaign manager?
Well, it was a friend of mine who was a businessman, very successful businessman and a good person. And, you know, Paul was not there very long. What people don't mention, Paul was not there for a very long period of time.
What was it that convinced you that he had to be let go?
Well, I think we found out something about he may be involved with certain nations, and I don't even know exactly what it was in particular. But there was a point at which we just felt Paul would be better off, because we don't want to have any potential conflicts.
What is so fascinating to me is there goes the man with the best memory of all time.
Yeah, well...
No, hold on. I think he said...
Certain nations.
Of the all-time great memories.
One of the all-time great memories.
Yes, and his best advisor is himself, because he is a great brain.
But he can't remember why exactly Manafort was hired. He can't remember
Campaign
why
chair.
exactly he was fired.
In charge of stuff.
When he says he wasn't there very long, I remember they were all saying, we have to fire Corey Lewandowski. We have to fire him because Paul Manafort.
I think they
This is a guy.
fired the wrong guy.
Paul Manafort is a guy that can count delegates.
Right.
We can't get the nomination without Paul Manafort. That's what they said, by the way. We can't get the nomination without Paul Manafort because he can count delegates. He knows how
Maybe
to
the
get
stress of the
delegates.
presidency has impacted his memory a little bit, because it is a stressful time.
I think he said he had one of the
like
all-time great memories.
He did.
Recently, didn't
You
he?
know, like
Multiple times.
squeezing in. The president's own logic that we just heard should have let go several other members of his campaign as well, maybe. Perhaps we've got 4 separate stories right now on the Russian ties to the Trump team. Four.
That's a lot.
Leaked documents show Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross retains an interest in a shipping company that has close connections to Vladimir Putin's family and associates. Ross,
But he disclosed it,
I thought
though,
he was
right?
supposed to, he was even asked about
Did he
this,
disclose it?
during his...
I'm sure he disclosed it.
No, he continues to
Well,
own...
no, hold on a second. If you
Well,
have ties to Vladimir Putin and his family, you're going to disclose that.
Well, he was asked specifically, I think, by Richard Blumenthal about this,
Right.
and he's going to be on today.
Did he disclose it?
I don't think so, but we can ask Senator Blumenthal about
Because
it.
you forget, I mean,
Ross continues...
Vladimir Putin and his family, that's
Right.
kind of big. You disclose
That's
that,
tight.
right? Would you forget that?
If you have a partnership with Vladimir Putin, I think you have to disclose.
It's Wilbur Ross.
I'm
losing his
curious,
memory,
if you did a
too.
speech for Putin and you actually sat next to him and shook his hand and talked with him all night, would you remember that? Because that's the Flynn, so we'll have to get to that in
All
just
right,
a second.
anyway.
Ross continues to own, through a series of shell companies, a stake in a shipping company called Navigator One. And Navigator, one of its biggest customers, is a Russian oil firm owned in large part by close associates of Vladimir Putin who were targeted by U.S. sanctions. Ross told Congress he had divested most of his holdings to avoid any conflicts of interest. Ross was just on with CNBC, and when asked if he considered resigning after these violations, he says that was a silly question and said he did nothing wrong.
All right, so
All right.
first of all...
Okay. I don't think it's a silly question.
We'll go all of them.
Should
Let's
we do the
just-
next one?
Yeah, and then we'll start asking
Okay.
questions. It's just...
A silly question.
I need a score sheet here.
Okay.
It's just like really...
NBC reporting has uncovered that George Papadopoulos, the foreign policy advisor,
Oh, he's a nobody.
who pleaded guilty for misleading
We've been told
agents
he's a
about
nobody.
Russian meddling, had a public role in the Trump campaign into its final weeks. Despite being described as a low-level volunteer by the White House in recent days, at the RNC,
Isn't that Bob
Papadopoulos...
Corker? Isn't he on the panel with Bob Corker there?
Well, at the RNC, Papadopoulos spoke as a campaign foreign policy advisor on a panel with members of Congress
He's
and
chairman of
Senate Foreign Relations
I think.
Chairman Bob Corker.
Yeah, he is.
He also spoke as a campaign official in an interview to the Russian Interfax news agency in September and met with Israeli leaders during the inauguration in January as an advisor to the new president. What? And after another foreign policy advisor, J.D. Gordon, confirmed that Papadopoulos discussed his contacts with Russians in their March 2016 meeting, this is what the president said on Friday.
Mr. President, do you remember George Papadopoulos during that March meeting floating the idea
I don't
of a
remember
meeting
much
with
about that
Putin?
meeting. It was a very unimportant meeting. Took place for a long time. Don't remember much about it.
But I thought he had memory. I thought he had one of the Herald. You told me that he said he had one of the best all-time memories.
He says
You
his
told
brain
me right before that.
is a
and I was
great
just-
brain.
No.
He told me
It
personally
appears he doesn't remember
that he
anything.
advises himself.
Wait, but
I mean, I can't.
I'm confused. Nick, I'm confused.
perplexing.
I'm confused.
I have 2 more stories. Remember I said there were 4? There's 2 more.
I'm just confused by this memory lapse.
2 more chances.
Okay.
to have a
All
lapse.
right.
All right.
More revelations from leaked documents show 2 of the biggest technology companies in America were financed by Russian entities. As The Guardian reports on leaked documents that allege 2 Russian state-subsidized institutions, VTB Bank and a financial arm of the state oil and gas firm Gazprom, funded substantial investments in Twitter and Facebook through a Russian technology magnate who also holds a stake in a company co-owned by White House advisor Jared Kushner. Facebook and Twitter were not made aware that funding for the investments came from the state-controlled VTB Bank and Gazprom, both are which are now under sanctions. A spokesman for Kushner declined.
I'm going to let you get to the next story.
I got one
but
more.
At one point, though, Kremlin-backed money controlled close to 10% of Facebook and 5% of Twitter. Nick Confessori, we want to blast through to the next story, but can you believe
good
that? 10%, almost 10% of Facebook owned by Kremlin-backed money.
It raises an important question here about the last few weeks' revelations that Russian bots, which is Clint's expertise, was here earlier, had fully penetrated Facebook, that Facebook is ridden with Russian propaganda, and that Russia was slow to recognize and act on it. And it makes you wonder why they were so slow.
Facebook was slow.
Facebook, and so was Twitter, which was also invested in by the same fund of Russian money. So it raises a real question here about the business motives of these 2 companies.
Which, by the way, if you are a Russian-backed bank, that means that you are strictly loyal, Ari, to Vladimir Putin.
Yeah,
And
those are state-run banks.
And his regime.
Yeah, they're state-run.
And so close to 10% of Facebook controlled by Putin money. 5% of Twitter owned by Putin money.
Yeah, and with Facebook, we're talking about someone, Mark Zuckerberg, who sent his lawyer when the U.S. Congress had questions last week. But when Medvedev wanted to meet with him, he went to Moscow in 2012, and he went personally, and he didn't wear a hoodie. He found it that day. He found the suit in the closet. He pulled aside the 10 hoodies, put on the suit to meet with Putin's handpicked prime minister. So people sometimes think because these companies are in America, they're loyal to America. They're loyal to whatever country they need to do business with, and these new reports raise some.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.